Thank you for listening to the Kyle and Tim podcast, where we have authentic conversations that help cultivate a better understanding of ourselves, our guests, and the world we live in. This podcast is about our guests, getting to know them, their backgrounds, experiences, thoughts, and ideas. We really appreciate you listening. Before we introduce our next guest, we'd like to introduce a few of our sponsors that help make this podcast possible.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Mountain Mule Transportation, located here in Bozeman, Montana. Mountain Mule is a private SUV and truck service, offering chauffeur services in all of southwest Montana. Whether it's your next skiing, hunting, or fishing trip, early morning or late night trips to and from Bozeman Airport, as well as weddings and private parties. No matter the occasion, Mountain Mule will get you there safely and on time. To learn more, visit mountain-mule.com and book today.
My name's Dan Haywood. I go by Animoscillator, and this is the Kyle and Tim podcast.
And what do we talk about today? TVs?
Yeah, we talked about his background and like where he grew up and how he got to Montana. And we talked a little bit about, you as a musician, and then your career and your art form.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys. Yeah. Anyway, get to work.
Dan, where are you from?
I'm from Bethlehem, New Hampshire.
Cool.
Yeah.
How long did you live there?
I grew up there. I was born in Portsmouth, so I was born in New Hampshire, and I moved up. I think my parents moved up when I was about 1 or something. So I lived there until I turned 18 and started college and moved out here. Been here ever since.
Cool.
Yeah.
What was it like growing up there?
It's awesome. I love New Hampshire. I had really, I come from a really super lucky, just great family, really tight. I have 2 older brothers. We were just, everything was great. I'm still in touch with my best friends from back then. We're still best friends now. And it was picture perfect. No complaints.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. I got so lucky.
Yeah, pretty fortunate. Is New Hampshire live free or die?
Yep. 100%.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Is the culture actually like that?
It is and it isn't. It's like whenever I remember there's a bunch of hoopla of the what's it called, when the seatbelt law went into effect there.
Oh yeah.
And people are like, oh no, because I think we were one of the last or something. Don't quote me on any of this, but I just remember it being a big deal because people are like, it's a live free or die state, but also they still have I don't think weed is legal there in any forms. Maybe medical something. It's just there's certain holdouts. It's a very strange political climate over there. What are they called? Libertarians have had have a little bit of a hold over there. We it always is flip flop. It's like one of those where it's like a red state down ballot, but blue on the presidential side generally. Things like that. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea, live free or die. Hell yeah.
Yeah. It's a fun place, man.
Cool. Okay, so so you said you have some brothers?
Yep, I got 2 older brothers.
Okay, how much older are they?
One's 10 years older and the other one's 8.
Okay, all right, so kind of some distance there.
Yeah. We have different dads.
Okay.
So that was what happened there. Yeah.
Got it. All right.
But we all grew up together and brothers through and through.
Where do they live?
One lives in North Carolina in Raleigh, and the other one lives in Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
Okay.
Yep.
How's it? Do you guys do a lot of ice skiing there?
Oh yeah. Ice skiing. Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I grew up with it. Our local mountain was Cannon Mountain, which in New England's a pretty legendary mountain. I was a snowboard instructor all through high school, and we're big time out there.
Did you know about the snow here? Is that what brought you here?
That was a big part of it. I was really, especially those last few years of high school, I was really obsessed with snowboarding, and I always wanted to come out west. So I was like, here, this is my way to do it. I'll go to college and then I have a reason to get out there. The mountains are what brought me out here. And I was originally going to go to MSU for film because they have a really good film department. And so it was film in the mountains what brought me out here. But I ended up switching majors after my first year to music technology. Yeah.
Is that what, did Brian study film here too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A friend of ours, he runs the MMA gym here in town. I know.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. It's a great film department here.
Yeah.
So, what were you like growing up as a kid? Like how?
It was in Bethlehem is a small town. I think population's like 3,000. So it's a tiny town. And everything's close together out there. So it was just a lot of time on the bike, riding around, hanging out with the friends, going to meet the friends. And a lot of time, the house I grew up in was butted up against a national or a state forest. And I just spent a lot of time, just me and my dog, just wandering around out in the woods.
What's the closest big city?
Boston, I'd say.
Yeah.
It's 3 hours to Boston, and I think it's another 3 hours to New York City. Okay. And then if you go up north, you can get to Portland, Maine. And so it's kind of smack dab in the middle there.
Okay.
It was awesome being nestled way in the woods. We're not that far from Canada. You could get up to Montreal real easy and then drive a couple hours and you're in the thick of it in Boston and New York.
That's pretty cool. That's a cool spot.
It's awesome.
It seems like you're secluded, like away from everything, but you're not very far away.
Yeah, yeah. And then in New Hampshire, there's Manchester and Concord, which are, relative to places out here, are still cities.
Yeah. Got it.
Yeah, I grew up about 130 miles north of the city, upstate New York.
Oh, cool.
It's like very similar town of 1,500.
Which town?
Millbrook.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so
awesome.
Dairy farm, middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
like you said, when we were kids, we were lucky. We like a handful of times we'd go down to go to sports games.
Yeah,
so go see the Knicks in Madison Square Garden, Yankee Stadium, Shea Stadium. So
and then you could just get back home and sleep in your own bed.
Yeah,
it's crazy out there how it will be. You can be in the middle of nowhere, drive a couple hours, and you're in the city, and then you can go right back home.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not. It can be nice.
Yeah.
Kind of both worlds.
It was one of those things. I was so young and naive when I moved out here. I didn't realize how isolated I was gonna be because I've always been super into concerts and stuff. And then 2006, Bozeman was not getting much music out here, and the closest thing you could do is get to like Salt Lake or something. It's like, oh, this stinks.
Yeah, you must.
Yeah.
You must be grateful for the last decade of music around here.
And I was real lucky. I got in just in time as far as being a sound engineer and lighting designer in town. I got in right as the boom started happening here. So I got in at the ground floor and just been kind of grandfathered into all these sick venues and stuff. So it's been cool. It's been cool seeing it grow. But I played in a lot of bands all through college and out of college. And there was no scene in town, so it was a struggle. You're just playing to nobody night after night.
What do you play?
I play guitar and keyboards.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing that?
Since middle school, I think is when I first started. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. It's been cool.
2006 was when you came out here.
Yep.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
I think my sister came out in 2008 or 2009. She went to MSU too.
Oh, cool.
It was funny. She came here kind of sight unseen. I guess she snowboarded a little bit before then, but she's like, "You got to come check this place out," because she had no idea. She literally got accepted and came here. And
cool.
Yeah. That was, I don't know, it's like a little bit before social media had really taken off. So places weren't as exposed as they are now.
Yeah, I mean, how I even heard about Bozeman is so funny. It was they had one of those reps came to my high school to like pitch the college to you, and it was just like, hey, any seniors that want to get out of class right now, you can go listen to this spiel about some college in Montana. And my friend and I looked at each other like, you want to get out of class? And we went, and she sold me like so hard that it changed my entire life. I moved out here and haven't come back home. It was just chance, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, Bozeman's amazing now, but I feel like, I guess it was 2006, so it was
almost 20 years.
Yeah, it's like 20 years ago, basically. I mean, God,
it was cool.
It's
then.
like I feel like everything was kind of hidden, like hidden and secluded. So maybe there's some novelty about that, but.
And it's one of those, like, I've been out here long enough. I got to see that era of Bozeman and shift into this. So it's been a change, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I came out not long after my sister came out here for school just to visit, and it's kind of faint, the memory of it between then and coming back a decade later. But I'm like, I remember it being sleepy.
Yeah.
And I don't know when they paved essentially Huffine to Jackrabbit, but it was sometime in that era. And it's like, I know at some point 19th was dirt.
Yeah.
So
it's wild.
It's just funny. It's
wild.
I was just going to say something. I don't know where it was. But yeah, it's like just a sleepy nothing town. Here we are.
Yeah, bustling.
Yeah, definitely. So let's go back. So let's talk about family dynamics if we could.
Yeah.
You said that so brothers but different father. What was family life like?
It was awesome. We were super tight. I kind of had this interesting thing because of my brothers being so much older. By the time I was getting out of middle or elementary school, they were both off to college. So from all through high school, I was ostensibly an only child as far as being at home and stuff. And then my dad worked in Boston all midweek. So he would leave Mondays, come back Thursdays or Fridays. So then all the midweek, I was like an only child, and it almost felt like having a single parent because it was just my mom and I all midweek. And then she was a elementary school teacher, so she had to work really late every night, getting everything done. So I would have a whole bunch of hours all by myself every day. So I had this really interesting experience and perspective of going from everything of a full house with brothers to just by myself. So I kind of experienced it all that way.
What was that like for you?
It was awesome. It gave me a lot of time to be by myself, and I always liked working on projects and stuff, playing my guitar or whatever down in my room. I really like that. And again, like I was saying, I hung out in the woods behind my house with my dog a lot. That was really cool.
So you just kind of kept yourself busy. You didn't bother you or anything.
No, definitely not. Cool. And that's always keeping myself busy is easy.
Yeah, cool. Nice.
Where'd the music background come from?
My dad was a musician. My parents always pushing me towards it because they knew I loved music and I was very affected by it. But something about it, when your parents are like, "Hey, I think you want to do this," you don't want to do it. And then finally it clicked. I was like, "Oh man, I think I want to pick up that instrument. I want to play it." And then I started and I was hooked. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think because you learn so fast when you're a kid, it's kind of like teaching your kids another language.
Yeah.
If you just they can have it, and then you'll have pieces of that as you get older, whether you keep using it or not. But you can learn so fast when you're young.
Yeah, yeah. And you still you feel like you have your whole life ahead of you to keep working on it. As every day passes, you feel for me, it's every day passes, I think I have less and less time. Same with my art career. There's an urgency to get this done now.
That is an interesting idea of I'm 40 years old. I can't do anything new.
Yeah.
Versus, and it's just what do you mean? You have 40 more years to fucking do, to try something new.
Yeah. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Yeah. Music's timeless. You can be
absolutely
90 whatever year old musicians, and you play. I can never stop.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something you can do by yourself, with other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about your art career? What's that look like?
Man, that's been really cool. It's been exciting. I've definitely always been a creative and an artist. My mom and dad would attest to that. And I kind of where I'm at now. So the listeners probably don't know, but what I do is I'm an analog video artist. And I play with a lot of old TVs and old analog video gear, old mixers and all this kind of stuff. And I make crazy, weird visuals and videos. And then I display them on sculptures made out of TVs and things like that. And that's a whole story. I kind of fell into all of that, but it's kind of really overtaken my world. And it for a long time, it kind of took the backseat to my music career. I really wanted to be a full-time musician and stuff. And that's might be news to everyone, but that's very difficult. And I'm not the best musician in the world. So it was extra difficult. And especially like during COVID, all my gigging came to a grinding halt. So I had all this extra time. So I really started putting all my creative effort and energy into this video stuff. And I was posting it online, and then next thing I knew, it just blew up. Like I was blowing up on Instagram with it. I was like, hey, there might be something here. I've gotten more traction in 6 months with my video stuff than I did 10 years with my music. So maybe I should follow that lead a little bit. And it's been really good to me.
How'd you fall into
it? So I've always been into video. Like I mentioned earlier that I was originally going to go to school for film and stuff. Like I've always been into it. It's always been a passion of mine. And then, so now fast forward, I switched majors, went to school for music, graduated with that degree. And I was working in a theater with a bunch of my friends. And I just always became the video guy because we needed someone to do the video stuff. So I just was like, hey, I know this stuff. I can do it. And my friends they all played in this band, this local band called Pinky and the Floyd. And they're like, hey, we need a video guy to like do visuals for us because we're a Pink Floyd tribute band and visuals are awesome with that. So I was like, hey, put me in, coach. And I started doing like really well with it, or it felt good. I was like, man, I think there's something here. So I just kept doing that. And that's how it really got started, the video art side of things. Yeah.
Okay. So you got your start by like friends asking you to help.
Yeah. I fell into it. I got lucky.
Okay. So you were going to ask something.
Oh, I was going to ask what this art looks like because it sounds psychedelic.
Psychedelic is a word used a lot. Trippy, psychedelic, glitch. That's another term for my medium is glitch art. So yeah, whacked out, crazy, trippy.
Explain. So I've seen some of your stuff and it's super cool. Explain to like listeners, like if if they're not seeing it right now, but like you like stack, I don't know, a shitload of TVs on top of each other that are all different like shapes and sizes.
Yeah.
And then you like play a video across all of them.
Yeah.
And then that video, you put a bunch of different effects to that video.
Essentially, yeah. The thing that people need, like, I think maybe don't fully understand is the process, because today with computers and stuff, as we all know, like you can do anything. But what I do is not digital. There's no post work with effects and stuff. It's all analog, done in real time. So I have a bunch of equipment that I can manipulate the visuals in real time. And it's not like dragging and dropping an effect in Final Cut or anything like that. This is all hardware that I have sourced. I have friends that will like circuit bend hardware, which means they take something pre-existing, change the electronics on the inside so it does something different, and chain it all together, and you can make some pretty crazy stuff.
So it's like more manual and more mechanical.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
You're pre-CGI.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And it's all the equipment I use is stuff from 80s, 90s, early 2000s. The TVs, I have TVs from the 50s, 60s, 70s, all the way up to when they really stopped producing CRT TVs.
What's a CRT TV?
That's the old school. A lot of people call them box TVs, retro video game TVs, are what people call them now. It's a thing you'd see in every house in the 90s. Okay. They're big, they're heavy, box, they're a pain in the butt. My back hurts all the time. My knees hurt. They take a lot of electricity. They're loud. It's I constantly complain about my art form. I just did a gig just a couple days ago. I did this really fun gig where I got to set up a couple big structures and do visuals for the DJ Diplo. And I had to get a trailer, and we had to drive a bunch of my TVs up to Big Sky, unload them, drive them back. They're really fragile too. So like every single bump from Bozeman to Big Sky, I'm just pulling my hair out. Oh, this is my like life's work.
This was this past weekend?
Yeah.
I had heard he was up there.
Yeah.
I don't even know who he is.
So you
That's
set
what I
up
heard.
like something on stage.
I did. The TV structures weren't on stage. It was like kind of an art installation off to the side for people to, take their social media photos in front of and things like that.
Okay.
And then there were LED walls on stage that I was also controlling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. How'd you get hooked up through that? Like how'd that work out?
That one was, I got lucky with that. The production company that was up there, Jericho Studios, are good friends of mine. I've kind of been an ancillary employee of theirs for a long time. So they're like, hey, we got this gig. We think you'd be perfect for it. So they brought me up.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's been really cool.
That's so funny that you're bringing old TVs up to the. Go figure.
It's such a pain in the butt, man.
Nobody do people like if they break, like you've probably fixed them yourself because nobody
I
works on those
don't
things anymore, right?
I know, yeah, there's not many people. There are people out there, but it's a dying art form. I don't know. I know enough to be dangerous, and I know enough to know when I need to stop. The inside of a CRT TV is highly dangerous. They can be unplugged for a month and they'll still kill you because they hold a charge.
Oh, right.
And they can hold tens of thousands of volts for a long time.
Whoa,
and if you touch the wrong thing, you will absolutely die.
I have no idea.
Yeah, they're dangerous. They're also, I mean, the inside of a TV is a vacuum tube. I think it's like something like 1/1,000,000th of an atmosphere or something. So if they crack, they'll explode because it's such high vacuum pressure in there. They're crazy. Another fun thing.
Everybody had them in their house for a long time.
Another fun fact is the FCC? They had to put out a statement back in the day that the CRT TVs give off low levels of radiation.
No shit.
They're crazy, dude. They're crazy.
Wonder. No wonder. All right. And you're like, I'm still using them, no problem.
I'm sitting in front of 100 of them, just like zapping my brain.
Yeah, whatever. It's all good.
I
got it. Is your stuff on YouTube?
I have a little. I got to get better on YouTube. I'm mostly on Instagram. I don't even think I've seen my artist name. I go by Animoscillator. That's ANIMOSCILLATOR.
We're gonna put it in the show notes for sure.
What does that mean?
It doesn't really mean anything. It's just a funny name my friend and I came up with late one night. It's basically mashing together like animal and oscillator, or animosity and oscillator. It really was a name that I was using for my old music project because I was using a lot of synthesizers and stuff, and they all run on oscillators. So it was just like a fun word we came up with one night. I was like, oh man, I love that.
There you go.
And my mom's constantly telling me, hey, you got to come up with a better name that people know how to say and spell. But I'm like, Mom, I got that SEO on lock. No one else is out there with Animoscillator.
There you go.
What does that name mean? Comes from a guy who has Prestige Media Montana Worldwide. That's his company name.
Prestige Worldwide.
Yeah.
It's a Step Brothers spinoff.
I love it.
If nobody knows.
I honed in on that immediately. I was like, all right, I like these guys. Did we just become best friends?
Oh, it's so funny.
Yeah, we were like, what are we gonna do? We got to become legit, I guess, and
we gotta show that it's a loss.
Yeah, that's right.
Legally.
So we're like, what are we gonna call the company? And it was like, oh, the Kyle, and I don't even know at the time. We didn't really have any names, and we were like, all right, we gotta do Prestige Media Montana Worldwide.
Just the Montana Worldwide says it all.
It's so funny.
Yeah, I gotta get. That's what I was gonna say because I'm really not on any social media.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
for my business. I'll go on my desktop. Mm-hmm. I go on my business, but if you get on my YouTube algorithm, that's where I explore stuff and find stuff. That's what I was asking if you're on YouTube.
Yeah, I am on there a little bit. It's if you do look up Animoscillator, you'll find a lot more of my old weird music stuff that I did. But there's a handful of my videos and some other things. And then a lot of my video like incomes comes from music videos. So I'll be attached to a lot of that. And so there's some stuff out there.
Are you still playing a lot of music?
I'm not. It's really hard. I'm in a band still. We're called Anaconda Vice. We're a pro wrestling themed punk band. and we still gig and things, but some of them got kids. We live in different towns. You know how it'd be. It's really difficult for me personally to take a night off work to go play a gig where we're not going to make any money.
Yeah.
Like, it's getting so tough to live in this town, to pay rent in this town, that I can't afford to take a night off work.
Yeah.
And the video thing has really taken the front seat for my creative output.
So you're doing that like full time?
It feels like it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My full-time job is the sound engineer, lighting designer. That's what pays the bills, but it's like,
And that's at the Elm?
the Elm, Rialto, Live from the Divide.
Okay. All three of those.
Yeah. Yeah. A
Okay.
handful of, I work subcontractor anywhere else and stuff too. But, the art stuff's doing good enough that it helps me get by.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's great.
Cool.
Dream come true.
Yeah, that's really cool. And you can I think you might take a hobby and turn it into something serious.
Yeah. It was always my plan, or it was always my goal, I should say. Always wanted to get there, and I'm still working towards it. It's not 100%, but
This guy's going to have like thousands of TVs at Coachella or at Burning Man.
Yeah. No, they would definitely die in Burning Man.
Yeah,
Funny you mentioned Coachella. Last year, I got hit up by a DJ who was on the Sahara stage, and he asked me to make all his visuals for his set at the Sahara stage. So that was like incredible.
So you did it?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
I wasn't there physically,
Yeah.
but I got to watch the live stream of it, and it was crazy. I mean, that stage.
So you had somebody else set it up for you. But you
Yeah. It was. I basically built him a package of videos for him to play on the LED walls, and then he's been touring the world with them now. So like every week, I'm seeing my stuff and just all these crazy stages all over the world. It's awesome.
Good for you.
Yeah, that was.
Are they
such a
like
cool
helping
gig.
promote you at all?
They're not. That's kind of like the plight of my art form is, you like those things that you don't get any shout outs or anything. That's just the way it is. I work with a lot of VJs and stuff just through the job at the Elm and things, and you're never getting any love on the stage, which is just the way it is. It's fine.
Well, maybe,
I'm happy to see
it'll
it.
change.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll adapt over time.
Yeah, and I'm happy to see my stuff up there.
Sure.
It tickles me every time.
Yeah. Cool, man.
Yeah, that's been awesome.
Where did that start? Like, how do you? I mean, because people wouldn't think of that when they think of a form of art. So, like, where does that start? That you get into that?
We get into the video thing.
Yeah.
It was, for me, like I was saying, like I fell into it with the Pinky and the Floyd doing their visuals, and it was just one thing led to another. Like every step of the way of, you'd be Googling things and like, oh, this other person is doing something similar that I am. Like, let me learn about what they're doing. And then all of a sudden I found this whole world of analog glitch artists, because there's a lot of us out there. And I'm like, oh, they're using this equipment. They're using it in this way. So I just kind of pieced it together. I fell into it. I didn't know it was a thing at all. I didn't set out to be an analog glitch artist, but I found out I had a knack for it and just kind of kept running with it.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
How long, if you were to say from like when you started it, like barely scratching the surface to where maybe to where you got to a point where you were more or less doing what you're doing now? Was that a year? Was it 5 years?
It was so I started with Pinky right as I graduated college, and that was 2011. And it was a handful of years of just dabbling in it. I wasn't taking it seriously, but because I was really there my only client, and I wasn't doing anything outside of that. So that was, I can't remember the timeline exactly, but that was more or less it. And then I kind of got into it more and more as a hobby. I never thought anything of it. But then 2020 happened, excuse me. And that's where I was posting online more the video stuff. Cause like I was saying, it was doing better than any of my music things. And this clothing company, Volcom, found me, and they were like, hey, we like your work. We're doing this weird glitch thing. Do you want to make some videos for us? and we'll do like a whole clothing line with you. And that's when it like clicked. I was like, oh, there might be a future here.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I did that. And that's when I really kind of made the switch of, I think I'm going to focus on video over music.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So that would have been 2020.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, there could be a ton of applications for it.
It's
I mean, like, you know, commercials, photo shoots, you know, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, it's been fun. Different things. Like there was like a guy who shoots like docs here in town and stuff, and he found me and was like, hey, I'm doing like this vintage fishing thing. I want to show my stuff on some TVs. Can you bring a handful of TVs over to my studio and we shoot for the day? Like, what are some other weird ones?
I got an idea right now.
Hit me.
Okay. The city of Bozeman is going to pay you to do a fucking huge Christmas tree at Christmas.
Out of TVs? I love it.
It'd be sick.
Just tell me where to sign.
Right?
We're
going to block off the street.
I was talking about
Christmas tree would be the roundabout.
Yeah, right. It would go like underneath one of the big spiders or something.
Yeah.
I was talking about weird, dark things about CRT TVs, you know, the radiation, all that. Up until, I can't remember these years. Not that long ago, they were one of, if not the top killer of toddlers in America because they would fall off dressers and stuff and crush them.
Yeah, those old ones were big.
That's how heavy they are. Yeah. And it was the reason they're not up. That's not up anymore is because flat screens have taken over.
Yeah.
So it's just
that's wild. Yeah.
They're dark, grim devices.
Yeah,
I've had this.
You dropped those things are fucking heavy.
I have one.
You dropped a 32-inch TV. You know, on a little toddler, yeah, it would kill him.
I have one TV that's 200 pounds. I have a CRT TV that's 200 pounds.
How big is it?
I don't know the dimensions off the top of my head. It's a big boy though.
Yeah, we had one in college. It was like it literally took 4 dudes to move it.
Yeah.
It was the dumbest thing in the world.
This thing is no joke. It's a gorgeous TV. The picture's great on it, but it is a pain in my ass. I got to move here in a couple of weeks. I'm like, dude, what am I doing with this thing? I'd rather move a piano.
Yeah.
Do you try to pick them up at thrift stores or anything?
Oh, I pick them up anywhere I can. They're hard to come by now. They're tough to find. It's the days of them being free is scarce.
The days of them being free.
Yeah. Oh, so here's a fun thing.
They're now expensive or what?
Yeah, they're coming back. They're coming back big, and it's the retro video game market. It's killing me because like
people want to play video games on an old fucking TV.
Yeah, because in NES, SNES, Sega, all those guys, that equipment was designed to be displayed on a CRT, so they look better on a CRT than like a new plasma flat screen or anything like that. Okay. Also like the refresh rates and stuff, all of it, that's what they were designed for. So the games play better and they look better. So now all these retro video game people are like, oh, I want to relive my childhood, which I can't blame them, but it's killing me, man. Right, it's killing me.
Yeah. I was going to say, I would have had no idea that those kind of TVs went up in price.
Yeah. Well, it used to be free. They're now going like in Bozeman. They're going like $200 or $300.
That much?
Oh yeah, big time. It's crazy.
I remember in college, I like scored this 32-inch TV that was like not as big, but like, still deep, but not as big. And I was like, I got a sweet super deal on Craigslist. I had that thing all through college, and then by the time I graduated college, like flat screens had come out, and nobody wanted that thing anymore. And I'm like, you know, I sold it for nothing or whatever.
Yeah. I think of all I think of all the times I've like before I got into this world where I missed an opportunity to get a TV. Like, an old one.
Yeah.
Never get it back.
Interesting.
Yeah, maybe if you go to some like small towns out here, you can find them.
Yeah. If I check. Actually, wait. I'm not spilling my secrets of where I find these things.
Yeah, don't do that.
No, those are my secrets.
Yeah. Right.
But anyway,
you're driving all over the state with a trailer, fucking swindling
So
grandmas and grandpas.
I just did. I had an artist residency in Knoxville last summer, and so I drove as many of my TV. I filled up my car with as many of my TVs as I could here. Drove them across the country, but it still wasn't enough because I had a big gallery to fill with pieces. So I needed a lot of TVs. So I was out there for a month, and it was every day of that month pretty much. I was driving around the whole region. Like I was in Kentucky and North Carolina, just in the depths, in these boonies, just picking up every TV I could find. And like, it was pretty wild. Like I was getting into some places out there like, ugh, I'm suffering from my art. That's for damn sure.
My mother lives in Knoxville.
Oh yeah?
And then I've got another friend in Knoxville as well. She's like East Knoxville.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Oh man, I loved it. I've been in that town a handful of times and I've always had a good time, but now it has such a special place in my heart because it was the best month of my life. That month out there, getting to do what I wanted to do. I was with this amazing organization called Knoxville Community Media. Shout out to you guys. Thank you so much. And it was great. It was I love the history out there.
What were you doing for them exactly? Like explain kind of what.
It was awesome. They brought me out there to spend a month just working on my craft and to have a show at the end of the month. So I just spent a month studying their culture, the history, and figuring out how to integrate that into my final show. Yeah, so it was just every day of me just working on my art. It was awesome.
That's awesome.
It was amazing.
So like the end product was what? Like how
I had
that?
I had a big show. I called it Philo, is after the guy who kind of discovered CRT TVs essentially, or how to get images on a vacuum tube. But it's kind of hard to explain. I incorporated, so they have this amazing graveyard out there called Old Gray Cemetery. It's a very historical, very famous graveyard. And my studio was right next to it. So, and I just love graveyards as it is. So I spent a lot of days just walking around this old cemetery. I was like, okay, I got to do something with that. So I incorporated that into my piece. I mentioned earlier, I'm in this wrestling band. I really love wrestling, and Knoxville has very rich wrestling history. So I went through a lot of the old archives of the wrestling out there. Smoky Mountain Wrestling, I believe, was the promotion. And so I made a piece based on that. And it was.
And you're talking about pro wrestling?
Yeah. Good distinction.
Do you know much about Rick Rubin?
So yes, they do. He actually his promotion was Smoky Mountain Wrestling. When he started, he was the financier for Smoky Mountain Wrestling because he's a big wrestling fan. So actually, the promotion that I was studying out there was Rubin's.
He's I've been listening to more of his stuff recently. Such an interesting guy.
Very interesting. Yeah. Total character.
It's so crazy he doesn't play music.
Yeah. That always blows my mind.
It's fucking crazy.
Blows my mind. Yeah, he's
I want to read his book. I haven't read his book, but I've heard it's good.
Yeah, I've heard it's great.
I need to do that soon.
Yeah, his philosophies and then his obsession with pro wrestling.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
He says it's the only thing that's real.
Yeah.
Yeah, just listening to him explain why pro wrestling is the only thing that's real.
Yeah.
There's some logic in it. Like I see where he's coming at. I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
To listen to that. Yeah, that's the only thing that's real, even though it's not real. But it's real.
I'll have to find some of that. Some of your work you did in Knoxville because my mother would love to see it.
Yeah.
She's retired, and her boyfriend love to just find out what's going on in Knoxville and check stuff out.
Could you teach somebody how to do this from a distance?
Yeah. Totally. I think Skype would help out a lot. Or it's not even Skype anymore. FaceTime, whatever it is.
Yeah, no, that's awesome that you said Skype because I'm like, nobody uses Skype anymore. I mean, I guess some people do, but like that's the original.
Yeah.
Like, that's so funny. Skype. I haven't thought about that in so long, but it was so cool that you could fucking get on a video call with somebody and you're like, no way, I can see them. I had an external camera, that like had. Had like a little tripod. That was fucking so cool.
I got to ask you this before it escapes me, but tell me about the cemetery obsession.
I've always been into the macabre. You know, I was just one of those grown. I think some of it is
Always been into the what?
like macabre, just
I
like
don't know what that is.
dark, death.
Macabre.
Yeah, like the Addams family, they're macabre.
Okay.
Elvira, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I ponder this a lot of why I've always been obsessed with it, like, you know, skulls and things. And I think part of it is growing up in New England, because like, especially like northern New England, you have the witch trials, you have all that stuff. There's something inherently spooky about New England. So I think that manifested itself in my brain. But cemeteries. Like, another thing in New England, like, you can do it out here too, but there'd be times where my friends and I would be wandering in the woods and you'd find a graveyard from the Revolutionary War. Like, you didn't even know it was out there. And it was awesome. Like, that's just so cool to me. So
That's fucking
we would like search for those, like look in books of where there's old ones. And I've just always loved that. So I like to just wander around them, especially alone. It's a quiet place. There's something you can really reflect on your life, others' lives, you know. It's a great place to reflect. And then, so this one, Old Gray in Knoxville, I wish I could remember everything I learned about it now, but it's got all sorts of really famous people there. Big time revolutionaries are there. People that started like weird esoteric societies are buried there. A lot of the old mayors and senators and stuff are buried there. So it was also like, it's one of those graveyards where a lot of wealthy people are buried. So the headstones are super ornate, and it's not like a perfect grid system. So everything's kind of like strewn about. Oh man, I miss that place. It was so cool.
interesting.
Yeah.
It's funny. I can speak to the contemplation on a cemetery. So I grew up on my farm right across the street. There's I don't know, at least a couple acre cemetery.
Well, cool.
And so we were always around it as kids growing up. By the time I was maybe 13 or 14, somebody came over from the cemetery. And they're like, "Hey, who mows the lawns at the farm?" I'm like, "Oh, I do." They're like, "You want a job?" So I mowed the lawns in the cemetery for almost a decade.
I would take that job in a heartbeat right now.
And and it was like 3 to 4 hours of weed whacking and 3 to 4 hours of mowing. But I'm thinking it more now probably than I did then.
Mm-hmm.
But you reflect and contemplate so much.
Yeah.
And I've got family in there. So you think like, oh, I'm going to be in here someday.
Mm-hmm.
Like my family's here, like my grandparents are in here. And like, you see the names from the years, and it's kind of crazy.
There's just something about it. You can't help but reflect on everything, because everything is so finite, and nothing is more apparent than when you're wandering around a graveyard. Yeah, I love them.
Yeah, and some, you know, people are always bringing flowers too. You'll see some that family members visit a lot, and there's a lot to think about there. And I mean, I'm thinking about it now more than I probably did in hindsight, but it was so many hours a week for years.
Oh, in high school especially, I would have loved that job.
No wonder you're all fucked up.
That's not the only reason. That's another one. Yeah, there's some, like, if I think enough, I'll think of like, there's some quotes on some of the headstones and stuff. And some of them like massive headstones, and then some of them like nothing. And what you were saying, to being from the Northeast, there's so much, like the infrastructure is so old there.
Yep. Yeah. I grew up in this old Victorian house. It was built at like the turn of the century and stuff. So it gave me such an appreciation of old stuff, old architecture. My parents really liked antiques and stuff. That was another thing when I moved out here that was like somewhat jarring to me, is like, man, nothing's that old. And the things that are old out here, they're not that old.
Because there was nothing here.
Yeah.
You know? It was the Wild West.
There's at least like 100-year difference.
Yeah.
Right. In a sense,
at least for the settlers and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
and it makes sense. Everything closest to the coast is what's going to be inhabited.
Yeah. I mean, we're not that. I think Portsmouth was like one of the first settlements as far as that stayed around, because I think like some of the oldest buildings in America, I think, are in Portsmouth. I don't know. Again, don't quote me on anything.
That's all right.
Yeah, I love old stuff. Love those old neighborhoods.
Yeah, I was back. I mean, I'm back there fairly frequently, but just when you're driving around and you're looking at the old, there's so much history. Yeah, and the cemeteries. That, I mean, this was like oh man, we would like sometimes they would hire me to like lay out, you like look at this grid map when they're going to do burials and put the cornerstones in, and then they like some of it's so old that they can't like find stuff and everything's settled underground, and it's wild.
Yeah.
Weird.
Because it looks like just a giant grid system. They have they
Yeah,
have a map.
And like, if that, it's an old cemetery, like they didn't keep records like as good as, like somebody like chicken scratched on something. It was in a
Parchment.
It was in a filing cabinet that somebody threw away. And so like that was the record.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, what it makes me think now from like an investment standpoint, those plots were going for like $8,000 a pop.
What plots?
The cemetery plots, like the burial plots.
Plot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is to an acre, but I know what real estate. I know what real estate is in Bozeman.
So now you want to get into the cemetery?
No, I'm thinking about, we're stuck on cemeteries now.
Yeah. I'll be right back.
Yeah, man. When you're creating any of this stuff, like what's sort of your like source for your work, or what do you?
So I'm always searching for new ways to do that. I shoot my own stuff. I'm one of those guys who's just always on their phone scrolling the internet. I know it's bad, but I'm always looking for a fun video. I do a lot of online, like internet archives stuff. I love internet archives. I can spend hours just like wading through them, looking for that next magic piece, just some cool clip. But I'll shoot my own stuff. Anywhere I can. I'm always trying to think of what's the next video source and things like that. I do a lot of, like, I've done some like really rudimentary animation, because part of what's fun with my art form is any type of video, I can glitch out. I just have to dumb it down to SD and I can do anything I want with it. So I do live footage, just anything. It's endless.
I think my girlfriend, she does brand design and brand strategy.
Cool.
And it's changed my perspective on so much stuff. And as a business owner, you start to see the art in everybody's business.
Yeah, everything, all design.
Yeah. And she's brilliant at it. She can just she can find the deeper meaning of why people are doing things, and she gets into archetypes and
cool.
But I think about what you're doing, and I'd imagine like when somebody calls you to do something and you start just like putting your art. Yeah. I'm trying to like grasp what you're expressing or what you're trying to express for them, but it's got to be.
I find a thing I've learned, like, I want to be better at graphic design. I tell people I'm an artist, not a graphic designer. I'll get asked to do something like merch for a band or something, and they want a t-shirt, and I can get the design, the image, I can get that, and they'll love that. And they're like, all right, put our band name on there. And I'm just like at a loss. Like, I don't know how to make that look good. I don't know. Mm-hmm. That's where I lose it. I got to get better at that. That's a whole other world. Does like graphic design and stuff is a world that all in itself.
She's funny because she'll say that too. She's like, no, I do brand strategy and design. Like, I don't design websites.
Yeah.
But she is good at that stuff too. When but yeah, it's so cool just kind of seeing like, the way people can express themselves and what they're, what they're feeling inside. I could only imagine what it looks like on 50 TVs.
Yeah.
What's up, man?
What's up?
I don't know. Like, I'm like pressing on that question, but like, what's like, do you have anything that you think is like the major inspiration for like the stuff you do?
I think pop culture. I grew, growing up, I was born in 87. So I really grew up in the 90s, and I always loved like all those movies and the shows of the kid with all the TVs around them and all the switches and all that stuff. Like, I loved that. And it was like a realization for me one day where I was thinking about, some whatever movie, Matrix or Johnny Mnemonic or whatever it was. And like, man, when I was a kid, I wanted this so bad. And then I looked around my studio. I was like, oh, I have this. I made this for myself. I manifested it. But it was like all those in the 90s, especially like
Were you high?
No comment. But it's like everything I was drawn to, it always had those scenes with the room with all the TVs and the switches and the
You mean
knobs.
like a what's the right word? Like a fucking control room.
Yeah, exactly. And those, I just love those. And I love the ones that are cobbled together. I don't like the big clean ones where everything fits perfectly and stuff. I love it when it's all cobbled together. And I realized like, oh, I like inadvertently made this for myself. It's what I always wanted.
How many TVs do you have in this room, roughly?
In my studio, I think my last count is I think I have over 100 CRT TVs, and then I have probably at least a dozen more, computer monitors, flat screens, and things like that. So I have over 100 in my studio, not including just like what I watch TV on in my house.
So your studio, is that public to anyone, or is that sort of just where you do your craft and
that's
produce
right.
your stuff?
It's right now. It's like an apartment in the house I live. There's like a separate apartment, and I rent that out, and that's my whole studio. And it houses all of my TVs and where I do all my actual work, all my glitch work, and then I have like a little wood shop in my garage because I have to build a lot of things for this art form.
Dude, we should. Yeah, this is gonna be sick. We should do like a haunted house, put a bunch of TVs in them, and just fucking freak everybody out.
Oh man,
I think it's super scary.
That's my jam right there.
Right next to the graveyard. And just like you walk into one room, there's fucking TVs glitching everywhere, and you're like, fuck.
Just a total sensory overload.
Some people are jumping out of that corner and coming to grab you. That'd be sick.
That is my jam. Building haunted houses every Halloween was like my favorite thing when I was little. I spent like all October working on it. My mom had a rule. I think it was I wasn't allowed to talk about Halloween until after August, I believe was the rule in the house, because I was so obsessed with Halloween.
That's so funny.
We should do should make like a haunted story mill. And like
oh, man,
and
cool.
like the actual story mill that's all run down and gated off. They should open it up for Halloween and put a bunch of like cool shit in there.
That'd be so cool. That's my jam, I'm telling you.
So right now, like on a weekly basis, what are you doing generally, or what's your
I stay pretty busy as far as the video stuff goes. I work with, I do a lot of music videos for just like small bands. I've done some bigger bands too, but I like to
guy just did a freaking concert for Diplo.
But yes, like right now this week I have to finish up a music video. I'm also doing some like logo branding work for a local company. But then also that's juggled with all the concerts I work. I got 4 concerts this week I'm working. Kind of a stacked week.
Yeah.
So I mean, what's a job look like for a concert?
That all depends on the band, how big they are. It can be anything from, a semi truck driving up to the Elm, getting there at 8 or 9 a.m. and work until 1 or 2 a.m. to a show where you just walk in, turn things on, and let it rip. It's all over the place. Some days are grueling. Some days are super chill.
These bands they're usually just having a guy set everything up when they get there at this venue.
It's usually us setting it up. That all matters too with how big the band is. Some bands roll with their own crew and they're what we call just completely self-contained, and we'll just help them unload the truck, make sure they tie into our system okay, load the truck back up at the end of the night. Some bands show up with nothing and we do it all for them. It's all over the place. You never really know what you're getting.
Is the summer the busiest season, or is it
by far? Yeah. January and February are usually pretty dead for us. No one's really touring, especially no one wants to drive a semi in a bus through Montana in the middle of the winter. So those months are pretty dead. But yeah, summer's slammed. A lot of festivals too. Yeah, summer's my money making season.
Yeah. Do you do a lot of stuff for outdoor venues too?
Not as much. I used to. I worked for a company here in town, and we would do festivals at pretty much every week all through summer. But I've stepped away from that a little bit. The house gig under a roof, getting to sleep in my own bed is pretty enticing.
Yeah, that's probably right. Yeah, I can imagine. How long's that Elm been there now?
What are we on, our third year maybe? Can't remember now. We opened up just after the pandemic died down.
Yeah, it's a cool spot. I haven't been there in a little while.
It's really fun. We're real lucky to have it in this town. It's really well designed venue acoustically. Bands will come through not knowing what they're stepping into, and it is not uncommon for them to leave saying this was the best venue, the best show of the tour. We get that a lot. Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, I saw drive-by truckers there.
Oh man,
I
that was a
couldn't believe
great
it.
show, dude.
Yeah, I think Rick and Haley went to that too. I don't know if you did too or
No,
not.
I didn't.
I love that band. I've loved them ever since I first heard them way back in the day. And that was my first time seeing them and getting to work with them. That was a funny show too, because they're from Atlanta, I believe, or at least Georgia. And it was -20 out, and it was the coldest they had ever had to load out a show. They had never experienced anything like that. And we were all just like, yeah, man, this is
No big deal.
Yeah, there's no big deal. And they were dying.
What have they been around for, like 40 years or something?
Yeah, they've been for a minute.
That long?
Well, my cousin Greg's like 16. He's like, man, I was like listening to them when I was growing up. And I'm like, I know I've known them since as long as I've known them, which is most of my life.
I was listening to them in easily like 04, 05.
Yeah, I don't know, like at least 90s, if not longer than that. I don't know.
Cool.
And they've had so many guys leave and
Jason
come in.
Isbell, man. Yeah.
Oh, that's Jason Isabel's?
Well, he started, I don't know if he started or what, but he was in it for a hot minute. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of who else I've seen there. It's like some country ones. Have you seen anyone crazy? Honestly, one of the funniest experiences.
I saw was it last year or the year before?
You always ask me if I want to go to reggae there.
Yeah, I went to a reggae concert there. I went to Atmosphere. That was really cool. I went to
He's been fun.
Brother Ali.
Yeah, he's been fun.
Did Young Gravy play there?
Yep.
I went to somebody who was like funk. Who was it? Oh, it was some funk band there. Who the hell did I go see?
I'm trying to think who it would have been. They all blend together for me. You could ask me like, who have you worked with? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, when somebody told me they were going to see Young Gravy, I'm like, the Mr. Clean guy.
Yeah.
Like, so funny in Bozeman, Montana.
Yeah. The story I heard, so I didn't work that one, but I heard the story I heard is, so I think I'm allowed to say this. He had to do what's
Young Gravy?
Yeah, Young Gravy.
I don't know who that is.
It's the guy that all the kids that listen to these days. But what's it called? Where the court tells you have to go do work.
Community service.
Community service. He had to do community. He had to serve like a shitload of community service. So he did it at Saks.
Okay.
He worked at Saks. This is the story I heard. I cannot confirm or deny.
Saks.
It's like
the thrift shop
store
right downtown. Young Gravy had to do community service there, of all places.
Okay.
That's so funny. I wonder what he did. And then he ended up, maybe did he build a relationship around here? And
I don't know. I don't know what his tie to Bozeman is at all, if any. I don't know. That's just the story I heard where someone was like, yeah, Young Gravy did community service at Saks in Bozeman. Like, that's wild.
Yeah. I wonder what they're associated with other than
Young Gravy.
I mean, yeah, you're like,
what kind of music does he play?
Not very good music.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what category is that?
Is he like nationwide, worldwide, Bozeman wide?
He's definitely. I think he's definitely on the worldwide scale. He's a huge rapper.
He's a white rapper, like I don't know.
Yeah,
and it's like not really well written music.
yeah.
or like
I don't know enough about that world to.
This guy's worldwide.
I think so. I mean, he's massive.
What the fuck is going on?
But if you're like in high school in a certain era growing up, like
Yep, that's
he's
your
so
stuff.
funny.
Hey,
He's
if I
like-
was in high school, I'm sure that would be my jam.
I remember like when I was high school age, like remembering, some of this is kind of funny. But
Yeah.
then, like,
Yeah.
I turned
He's tall. He's
turned
6'8".
16. I didn't know that. So you definitely wouldn't miss him if he was working at Saks and he's 6'8".
I guess not.
That's funny.
I love that story. I hope it's true.
So yeah, I mean, what's your summer look like? A lot of gigs.
Tons of gigs. Yeah, it's busy. Work as much as I can to support me through the dead months in the winter.
Cool, man.
Yeah,
Nice.
and travel as much as I can too. Get back home, back east, and do some more artist residencies. So those are the dream right there.
How does that work out? Like, how does that
Man,
come to?
I got lucky. I've done 2 now, and I've just been so lucky because the organization found me and asked me. So generally, you have to apply and go through like a juried process.
And they pay you?
Yeah. So usually it's a grueling application process, but I just got really lucky these 2 times. And
Why is it so grueling? What's that?
I don't know if I can speak for all artists, but I can definitely speak for myself. Of paperwork and applications are not my thing, and I'm terrible at them.
Okay.
And I'm bad at resumes. I'm bad at all that stuff. And especially, an application in the art world, it needs to be just so like authentic and academic. I just have trouble with that stuff. So I'm not
kind
good
of
at
annoying.
it. Yeah.
It's like annoying that you have to explain it.
It's all part of being an artist, filling out stuff for grants and all these kinds of things. So yeah, that stuff sucks. So when you get asked like, hey, we're doing a residency and we're interested in you, it's like, oh, I don't have to do any of that. And it's great when someone says they want to pay me to come make art for them.
How do you figure out what to charge people?
Oh my God.
Right? Like I would imagine
if anyone,
how the fuck do you how do you, well, there's this many TVs. Here's the price.
So it's hard. I was driving around today thinking about it. I'm getting better at it. You kind of test the waters. You got to thread the needle though. You don't want to undercharge yourself. If you overcharge, they're not going to hire you. But it's also, you kind of have to take the rest of the art community to consideration, because you don't want to, if you undercharge yourself, you're doing everyone else a disservice. And if you overcharge, you're also doing them a disservice, because people are going to shy away from this medium altogether. So you got to really thread the needle. For me, I started really low, and as time's gone on and my resume's gotten stronger, I feel I can charge a little more. With the TVs, they're a rare item. Not everyone has them. They're dying. They're not going to last forever. They're fragile. So I don't take issue with like, I charge I charge a little bit for each TV and stuff. It's also such a pain in the ass to move them. So yeah, you just gotta figure that stuff out, man. It's so hard. I think every artist I've ever talked to all agrees. Like I've done like I've talked to like some career artists. I was like, break it down for me. How do you charge? And they go, I have no idea.
Yeah, it's just like kind of make it up.
It's tough. You got to work on a sliding scale too. Take your client into consideration. Just hope it all works out.
Yeah, and how much future work are they going to give you too?
Yep. Do you want the return?
Yeah, is this a one-time client or is it a repeat?
Yeah.
Are they referring you to other people or whatever?
But there's been ones where I charged X amount and then later found out they're like, oh no, you could have charged way more. It's like, don't even say that, man. But it's good to hear it, because then it does help you hone in on that magic number.
Yeah.
Oh God, dude, it's so tough. And I'm not a businessman. Like, I don't know anything about business. It's tough.
Yeah.
Just flying by the seat of my pants.
I was going to say, do you use like Grok or Chat GPT for anything?
Definitely. Yeah, I've absolutely, again, this goes back to I'm not a great writer and stuff. So I love ChatGPT to help me hone in on that. I try to be very conscientious of not just copy and pasting. You got to take it like, okay, that's how it helped formulate these sentences that I'm trying to get out.
Yeah.
But I love it for writing prompts. I think it's a tool that can be ethically used.
That's why I wondered for your pricing if it could be of any help to that.
Oh, that's interesting.
Like,
See,
you know,
that's
like,
a great idea. It's such a versatile thing. That's something I never thought of. I'm gonna go ask it that.
I think
because you could refine it, and be like, well, yeah, but like you could give it different parameters, and
Yeah.
then it'll almost build you like a stratification chart to say
That's a great idea.
You know, like if this, then this, if this, then that, then you could. I don't know. No, it wouldn't be perfect.
Yeah,
then you can go fucking throw a dart close when you're
exactly
in the ballpark.
That's a great idea.
The questions, it's a matter of thinking of the questions, because I've realized that with my business. And I just think, oh my God, I could ask it this, I could ask it this, and some of the stuff it can figure out, and the math it can do so fast.
Mhm.
Like it could be a whole day of math that it can do in 5 minutes, and I'm like, this is insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you could, I mean, because you just give it some data of what your inventory looks like and what you're doing and where you're going, and it'll probably like give you a freaky close numbers. Be like, well, you got to figure this and that. And
man, I'm excited to try it. That's a great idea. Thank you for that.
Well, and that's why I was asking you about, like, could you teach somebody from a distance? Meaning, like, you get a gig in somewhere far away, and you're like, fuck, I'm booked that week,
Mhm.
and you're like, all right, teach somebody else how to do this, and I don't know, you got to figure out the logistics of TVs and all that.
Yeah. If they had the right equipment and stuff, it's definitely possible. So much of this medium, building these TV sculptures, so much of it is troubleshooting. You sit there and be like, okay, why is this not working? Why is that not working? So there's a lot of that needs to be done manually and in person. Yep. But ideally, if all the equipment works and they have the equipment, I could probably talk them through it. It's grueling. Like that setup I just did, that Diplo setup, I brought 30 TVs. They wanted 2 separate structures, and that setup took me, I think probably 6 hours or so from load into completion. And then it took me, I think, 4 hours to break it down and load it out. And that was 30 TVs. It wasn't even my biggest piece. But I did like a fun one. My other residency I had last year was in Italy, and I had them source the TVs for me before I flew out there. So I went out, and in Europe, all the TVs are different standards. The electricity is a different standard. The input's a different standard. Everything's different. And I had never had my hands on any of that before. So I was kind of nervous going into it. And I had 4 or 5, I think I ended up with only like maybe 7 TVs total. And some of them were like from like Soviet era Russia and stuff. And so the menus aren't even in English. And I spent a week just troubleshooting the TVs, just getting them to work, because like everything was different about it. Yeah. So I had to just like figure it all out. We were going to like flea markets trying to get the right adapters. It was a really fun experience, like getting my hands on these weird old TVs and making them work. And luckily I was able to pull it off. But so much of this is troubleshooting.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes a lot of sense.
I'm trying to think of who the hell it was. It was somebody we had on this podcast. It was somebody's dad or somebody that like worked on.
It was Greg.
His dad. What did his dad do?
He worked on TVs.
Yeah, Ukrainian guy.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I don't know.
He was like a TV repair guy.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
he could take them apart and put them back together, and he didn't kill himself.
Yeah,
good.
We'll have to ask Greg if he's got any TV hookups in Ukraine to find you some more.
Ooh, yeah,
more TVs. Our buddy Matt, I know him from the MMA gym. He's got a what's his degree? It's
you mentioned it earlier.
I think it's the same degree you have.
Yeah.
Music technology.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's
cool.
got a music tech degree. I saw him come. He came on the podcast and hung out and like looked at our setup and tried to help us understand half of what this is. He plays in a band. He's a DJ
Here in town.
Yeah.
What's his last name?
Matt Vander Sandy.
Oh, I don't know if I know him.
He's probably like 30. I was gonna say though, if he'd ever be a good connection for you, I don't know if you're like looking for guys to help out with stuff, or if he's ever looking for help. But I could definitely connect you guys.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely interested.
We were like, yeah, man, you want to come do the podcast and tell us what the hell we're doing? And he was definitely helpful with like just telling us what half of this stuff was and how to do anything with it.
Maybe I'm just unaware of it, but I think it's like it doesn't exist, and maybe it'd be cool if it does, and I just don't know about it. I'm curious if there's like art gatherings, art installation, like in and around Bozeman, meaning like, is there like, hey, this is going to happen for the next 45 days. And like, where is that stuff happening?
Yeah, there is. Bozeman's got a great art community. There's Tin Works in town, which is a relatively newer organization, and they're doing really great stuff. The Emerson is a wonderful organization, and they're always looking out for new and upcoming artists. They gave me my first full solo show. There's a really fun one, Random Acts of Silliness, who they're not on like the fine art side of things, but they work on like bringing art to children and families and stuff. And they're an amazing
Random Acts of Silliness.
Yeah. Random Acts of Silliness. They're an amazing organization.
And they're local here.
Yep. They're great. They've been blowing up. They're doing so much cool stuff. Those are the ones I can think of off the top of my head. There used to be the Cottonwood Club, but they've since they're not doing quite as much now. And I think they're kind of more based out of Livingston these days. Yeah.
I just was thinking like if there could be like a rotating thing, and like, I'm picturing like something on the street corner, that like the city, kind of promotes, and it's like it changes every 45 days or 60 days, and like it changes street corners. Or one of the things I've seen in other cities, which I think could be really cool, is like they pick an alleyway. They pick an alleyway and they say, hey, this is the alleyway that's going to have art in it all the time.
Yeah.
And so for like 2 months, it's something, and then 2 months later, it's something else, and then 2 months later, it's something else. And so, like, you don't have graffiti all over the city. It's like, no, it's like this is where graffiti is located.
There's that
it's almost like a whiteboard
right on Rouse in the Comic-Q building. If you know that one, that orange one, it's the architecture firm there.
Yeah,
and they have a gallery, like a little mini gallery right in the window. So when you're on Rouse, right by those stoplights, there's this gallery there, and they're really cool, and they do a rotating pieces that'll be there for a month or two, and it's awesome because when you're just driving, you're driving up to Bridger, you see it every day.
It's like almost connected to the tap room there.
Yeah, it's right next to it. Yep. That's a really cool one. And it's such a cool location. That's a fun one.
Yeah, the word art is the broadest word.
Oh, it's tough.
It's like you could be talking like, high-end, bougie, like fine art, or like, and I would like, I can just tell from talking to you what you do is very cool art, but there's like that's such a broad word.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's such a hard word. I'm very comfortable in the music world. It's where I've come up and everything. I'm very comfortable in there, but the art world, still trying to break into it and stuff. I still feel like such an outsider, especially when I'm with, very classically trained fine artists and like a room full of them. I feel like a fish out of water.
It's almost like there needs to be genres to some extent.
For sure.
It's so, that could be just two like totally different ends of the world and just not even relatable in any senses.
Yeah.
What about your pins? What any of those mean?
Oh, I've got a whole collection here. We got the TV, of course.
Yeah, that's the one that caught my eye. That makes sense.
A good friend of mine found that and she sent it to me. I love that one. My wife sent me the face hugger there. Cottonwood Club. Shout out to
face
them.
hugger.
Yeah, what's a face hugger?
Oh, from the Alien series, Xenomorphs. Is Ridley Scott's Alien?
Don't know that.
You don't know what I'm talking about? Ripley, the alien.
No,
Guys,
Which
Sorry.
is
we
disappointed.
could have just done a whole podcast talking about Alien over here. You know, H.R. Giger's Alien. Do you do anything? Oh my goodness.
Nope.
Okay, we're gonna have to fast forward. Okay, check it out. You go watch Alien. You got
what should we check out?
Alien. It's called Ridley Scott's Alien.
Ridley Scott's Alien. Okay.
Yeah, and then the sequel, Aliens. James Cameron's Aliens.
Yeah, I know that one. Yeah.
Okay.
Right,
So it's the same thing.
yeah,
So this
okay.
the face huggers when it comes out of the egg. It's like the oh boy. That's
I'll have to go back and watch it.
you're gonna have to watch it. Okay, but the other one I got to talk about here is I got my cat Lola. She passed away like 2 years ago now, but got her on the pin there. She's always with me.
And what's the top one?
That's Cottonwood Club. I was just talking about them. The like art little organization here in town. Yeah.
So what do you got to say about Aliens?
What do I have to say about them?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a great series.
No, I just
Oh,
mean
no,
Aliens in
real
general.
Oh, dude. Love Aliens, man. I'm all about those UAPs and disclosure.
We might have to get him involved in our
On our Thursdays.
our Thursday night.
We haven't even started it yet.
Conspiracy
We're
theories.
doing. Oh, I can get down
We've
with
been
this.
joking around about like starting like a. It wouldn't be weekly because there's no way we could fucking do it weekly.
Oh, it's
but
gonna melt your brain.
let's just say once a month we like get in a room and nothing's off the table and it's all conspiracy theories.
Oh, that sounds like so much fun.
A friend,
Doesn't it?
Yeah, I love that.
a friend of mine in upstate New York said every Thursday they meet in somebody's garage. They drink beer and they talk about conspiracy theories.
I love. Okay, so what I'll say about conspiracy theories is I miss the good old
they're
days.
fucking true, man.
Yeah, every single one of them. No, I miss the good old days. Conspiracy theories are getting dangerous
I know.
nowadays. But I miss the days of Area 51 and Bigfoot. Like
The
those
problem
are
is some of these things are becoming real. They're not conspiracy theories
Hey.
anymore.
That's why they're getting dangerous.
more and more disclosure on UFOs and stuff. It's exciting time.
That's for sure.
I'm all about it.
Yeah.
I think that does going back to
We
the
need to
90s.
speaking of that, I just thought of like when we were kids in the 90s, like the aliens.
It was ubiquitous.
Yeah, and like we need to get a fucking lava lamp in here. Yeah, we gotta get like glow in the dark alien head and a lava lamp.
I agree. And maybe a couple blacklight posters.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Turn the lights down. Some better lighting.
We had talked about like making the whole room darker.
Dark, yeah.
But John did say that we'd have to make it light again if we leave. So he was like a teacher, so he's like thinking from a classroom, and he wants it to be bright.
Uh-huh.
I was thinking
John's our landlord.
I was thinking of that earlier because John's our landlord and did this. And when we were talking about Bozeman and when you got here, he said, "What town did he grow up in?
He grew up.
Was it Haver or no?
Haver.
And he said Bozeman was like the little redneck town. And like,
Funny.
why would you ever go to Bozeman? There's a bunch of rednecks with pickup trucks there that ski.
Yeah.
And like, I'm like, that's the first time since I've lived here I've heard Bozeman called a redneck town. But
Not my experience.
but yeah, I think it was just like people that came here to ski, and it was just that's what it was. And MSU
It
was
was a
here.
ranching town that had a ski resort close by.
Yeah.
Man, wild. That's like what? That's how I feel about White Sulphur Springs now.
Yeah.
Ancient town with ski resort.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably like exactly what it felt like.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, that was in the 80s. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, man, what is there anything we can do to promote what you do or
Hey, being on the podcast is awesome. Thank you so
We got to
much.
figure out this Halloween thing.
No, I'd love to do it.
It'd be sick to
Count me
do a
in.
haunted house with a bunch of your TVs in these rooms and just fuck people up.
Yeah. Oh, I love that stuff, man.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'd love to know when I'm going to find you on YouTube and look you on Instagram anyway, but I'd love to know when you're doing something with all these TVs because it sounds trippy and it sounds cool.
I'm trying to think.
You're doing something with Tyler Boatson soon?
Who's that?
Tyler-
Yeah. I'm doing some working with their new company, doing some branding stuff with them.
Cool.
Yeah. Yep.
Sweet.
Yeah. So that's going to be cool.
That's how he gave us your information.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I'm trying to think I don't think I have anything on the books for any installations, like permanent installations or anything right now. I do have one. I have a permanent installation there's a shop in town called Barangia down
yeah.
by
Uh-huh.
Live from the Divide and
Yeah.
Wild Crumb, and they have a TV set up in there that's always showing my artwork, and it's the sculpture I made myself too.
That's there. That's on display there now.
Yep.
Dude, we gotta set up some like. All right, here we go. We can turn this into a conspiracy. So, like, pick one of the tall buildings in downtown Bozeman, and just like in the window, just have like 2 or 3 TVs like out the window, right? And then like they flash like random, like crazy wild shit every once in a while, you know?
That'd be rad.
Yeah.
Around Halloween.
Yeah.
And
That'd be cool.
yeah, you like reveal all kinds of wild information on those TVs, get people all riled up.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's cool. I want to do a deep dive on some of your work because it sounds
please do.
cool.
Yeah, it's been really fun.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on the show, man.
Yeah,
Thanks so
appreciate
much.
you, man.
It's really
Yeah.
good to meet you.
Yeah, it was great to meet you guys. Thank you so much. This was awesome.
Yeah.
Love your spot here. Love what you're doing.
Cool.
Thanks. We're just fucking around mostly, but thanks.
Hey, same here.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.